Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the FPL Newbies. And this will be an interesting video because we are not back with FPL. We are back with UCL Fantasy, our first ever UCL Fantasy video. I mean, this is a much needed distraction for us from FPL considering game week 4 has been kind of dull. I mean, defenders and the forward scoring big while the midfielders, especially the budget price midfielders, have been quiet, which we will go over in our usual game week review video that will come later this week. But first, UCL Fantasy. The deadline is on Tuesday, and we have come up with a squad which was, I mean, let's be honest, coming up with a squad in, I think coming up with a squad in UCL Fantasy is much more difficult than doing the same in FPL. We don't know about all the players, especially those budget priced enablers. I mean, there are so many, 4 million defenders starting this season in FPL, and I had hoped to get some of those in UCL too, but I did not find a lot. I mean, especially in terms of value, I don't know if they can provide what the likes of Livramento and Duffy have provided in FPL this season. Anyway, I will go over my team once, starting from the forwards. So I have Haaland, Mbappe and Ronaldo as my 3 starting forwards. Now, I think the big difference between FPL and UCL is in this forwards, because there are so many great premium options and you have to play all those 3. I mean, unlike FPL where you can play 1 or 2, I mean, there is very rarely people will play 3 premium forwards in FPL, because premium forwards are rare. It's mostly the forwards are mostly priced around 8 million, which makes sense. So anyways, I mean, my 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 selection of the 3 forwards kind of explain themselves. Haaland, I mean, there is no way you can make a UCL fantasy team without the man Erling Haaland. I mean, I'm expecting hat tricks from him again, and follows him Mbappe, of course. They are the 2 big things, the 2 future stars that are tipped to dominate the world over the next decade. Now, this is a tricky one because I'm leaning towards changing Mbappe to Lukaku at a certain point of time in the later stages. I mean, initially I had Lukaku, but I changed him to Mbappe because I was worried about the X minutes that Lukaku will get, because Lukaku has been starting in the Premier League so often. I mean, he has been starting in the Premier League every match, to be specific. And so I was wondering if Tuchel will give him a rest and start Timo Werner over him, just to rotate and give Timo Werner a bit of a game time. But it is also possible that Timo Werner only gets the cup games and Lukaku starts in the Champions League. I mean, yes, it's true that Chelsea have a comparatively easier group. I mean, Juventus, we all have seen what state Juventus are in this season. So I mean, I think it will be a walk in the park for Chelsea. So I'm still debating between Mbappe and Lukaku. I have to see. And then the third one is obviously Cristiano Ronaldo, the Mr. Champions League man himself. Similarly, I mean, United have also got I have gone for those players who have a comparatively easier group. So that explains why I have Ronaldo. I expect United to breeze through the group with Ronaldo being the top scorer. So coming to the midfield, I have Korea, Mason Mount and Ferran Torres. Now, Ferran Torres, I am also concerned with Ferran Torres because of his minutes, how many minutes he will get. He has started in all 4 of the Premier League matches, so I'm really concerned about Pep Roulette with him. But finding, since I have gone heavy at the front, finding those good cheap midfielders at that price range has been kind of difficult. I have 1 million in the bank, but I think I will take the risk. Pep has put his faith in him. Pep is starting him as a striker. I mean, even if it doesn't start, I will bank on him to come as a substitute and score a lot of goals. Next we have Mason Mount. I mean, Chelsea. Since I did not get Lukaku, I had to get some Chelsea cover in the midfield. I would have preferred Havertz, to be honest, but I did not have the funds, so I had to settle with Mount. I mean, I'm not exactly displeased with Mount. He's a good player, and I think he has the capability to deliver some assists and maybe score some goals too. We'll see. Korea, I mean, with Griezmann coming into Atletico Madrid this season, people are saying that maybe Korea's goal output and assist output will decrease a bit. Uh, yes, it is possible. It is a concern, but again, I mean, finding midfielders in the Champions League has been quite hard for me. So let's see. I will be banking on him. I mean, this is also my first time playing the Champions League fantasy. So yeah, I hope Korea delivers. Atletico Madrid also have a decent group for them. Coming into the defense, I have Bono in goal and Luke Shaw, Alexander Arnold, Aspilicueta, and Thomas Munier. Now, I have also invested heavily in the defense. I mean, Shaw and United are expected to keep clean sheets in almost all the matches in the group, considering the opponents they face. And of course, Shaw is supposed to form a chemistry with Ronaldo and everything, so that explains it. Trent Alexander-Arnold, he has taken the FPL by storm this season, so I think he will replicate his form in the UCL tour. Aspilicueta, I needed a Chelsea defense, and he was great last season. He scored a lot of points, so out of all the Chelsea defense, he is cheap, and I think he will start. I mean, if someone gets rotated, I think it will be James, and the other one, I think Aspilicueta and Rudiger are more or less nailed. Thomas Munier, I would have preferred Guerrero over Munier, but I can't afford him due to his funds. And Munier is not again a bad pick. Dortmund also have a relatively easier group, so I'm happy with it. And Bono, I got to Bono first. I had Mendy. I switched from Mendy to De Gea, and then I came to Bono. Ultimately, same reasoning. Sevilla have a easier group. I expect Sevilla to keep clean sheets. They have a good defense with Kunde and everything. So yeah, that's why I think Bono may deliver. I mean, bench, I have Dest, Wellington, Alvarez, and Bakoyako. I don't expect these players to deliver. I don't expect to substitute too many players. I just had to fill the bench somehow. So that was it. I don't have exactly many transfers planned for the future. I mean, one could be that I could keep Mbappe now and maybe shift to Lukaku later, because Paddy's PSG face Club Brugge in the first game week. So I think Mbappe will score in that match. I mean, you can't go wrong with any of the three front lines of the PSG players. So I'm not really shattered that I have got Mbappe over Lukaku or something like that. So I'm fine with that. I have gone with the 4-3-3 formation. I mean, the defense, yes, it's a bit defense heavy, but I'm not too worried about that. So yeah, that was it for my first UCL fantasy draft video. Next, we will be moving on to FPL Phoenix's UCL fantasy draft.
Hello guys, so as you can see, this is my squad. I will be going into game week 1 of Champions League Fantasy, and until and unless there is an injury, a training injury, a player missing out in the last moment due to COVID or anything, I will not be changing my squad, and this will be pretty much my final draft for game week 1 of FIFA Champions League. So as you can see, my starting lineup consists of Musso of Atalanta, then Guerrero, Aspilicueta, Acuna, Gnabry, Havertz, Barella, Sewald of Salzburg, and Haaland, Mbappe, and Ronaldo as my strike force. And in bench, I have Adan, Rosilon, Wober, and Alvarez. So as we know that we can change manually, we can make manual substitutions in between 2 days, like game week 1 will be continuing will be starting from Tuesday 14th of September and will be ending on Wednesday. So we can switch manually if our players don't perform well, like Musso is playing on Tuesday, so if Musso doesn't give me enough points, enough, like if he gives me 1 or 2 points for example, so I can manually substitute him off for Adan, who will be playing on Wednesday against Ajax. So we have that comfort here, unlike in Premier League fantasy, and we can even switch captaincy. So I will be going with Cristiano Ronaldo facing Young Boys on game week 1, and it's like a pretty solid fixture for Manchester United. And Ronaldo will be the most obvious captaincy choice, even though I guess Haaland is playing on the same day. So my choices are Villarreal. Villarreal aren't the most defensively strong team, and Atalanta are an attacking team. So I guess I will be going, and we don't like, from a perspective of keeping a goalkeeper. I don't think any of us will want a 6 or 5.5 goalkeeper in our team, because that will eat up a lot of fund. So a 4.5 starter is necessary. And yeah, another thing is I have selected the squad in a manner that everyone is a starter. All my 15 players will be a starter, although I think Rosilon is a contention of rotation for Wolfsburg, but still I think he will be starting. So that's the thing. And Musso in goal, because he has been signed by Atalanta this season, and he will be starting. He has started all the league matches for them, so he will be my 4.5 pick, because the group for the opening fixture is good and against Villarreal. So that's my goalie. Defense, Guerrero. Dortmund is facing Besiktas, so Dortmund's group is pretty easy, and in terms of on paper they are facing an easy group, and they should be coming out as group toppers of their respective groups. So I think Dortmund. I think many of us will be tripling up on Dortmund player. I have doubled in my squad from Borussia Dortmund in the form of Guerrero and Haaland. Guerrero has excellent attacking potential. He scores goals, assists, he goes forward, and Haaland, as we know, is now one of the best strikers in the world, and he will be going. Was a top scorer of Champions League last season, and everyone will be pretty much expecting the same from him this season too. Coming to Chelsea, as Chelsea asset, I have selected again doubled up on Chelsea, Havertz and Aspilicueta. Again, Chelsea are facing a relatively easier group apart from the Juventus match. I think Juventus aren't the most strongest team right now, and with Ronaldo leaving, they aren't growing great even in their domestic league. They I think have lost 2 matches already in their opening fixtures, and Chelsea have a pretty solid midfield, pretty solid defense, and Aspilicueta being rested in the weekend against Aston Villa, I think he will be starting. He's their captain and he will be starting, and Kai Havertz pretty much nailed on beside Lukaku, and he has a great potential of getting into the spaces in the box and scoring. Acuna, Sevilla's group is again a very unpredictable group. No big teams, no notable teams there. It's Sevilla and Salzburg. I think 2 of the strongest teams in that group. So pretty much it's a very 50-50 kind of thing. Like, we don't know who will be qualifying from that group. So but Sevilla have a good reputation. They are a top 4 team in La Liga and they are going great. And Acuna, their starting left back, who is at the same price of Diego Carlos, I think is a great pick ahead, and I will be going ahead with Acuna. And in remaining 2 midfielders I have are Barella and Seiwald. I think Barella doesn't need any introduction. He was really good in Euros, and I think after the Real Madrid match in the game week 1, he has a great set of fixtures, and I think he will be prospering there, grabbing assist points. Then Seiwald, who is a 4.5 cheap asset from Salzburg. I think Salzburg have started the domestic season well, and Seiwald is in good form. He is one of their important players, and I think he is a very, very cheap asset, and he's a starter, and I think he will give some points too. And with the forward Ronaldo, as I said, he's my captain's choice. He's facing young boys. Haaland, I have explained, and Mbappe, who is facing Bruges. And I will be transferring on game week 2 Mbappe to Benzema, who Real Madrid will be facing Sheriff in game week 2. And I think a lot of managers will be doing the same move, and I will be one of them too. So In my bench, I have Adan, Ruzilon, Wober, and Alvarez. I think all of them are starter. Adan, sorry, I beg your pardon. Adan, who is a starter for Sporting, he's the starting goalkeeper. Ruzilon, kind of contention as a rotating player, but I think that won't be a big problem. At 4.2, he's a good choice. Wober, I think both of the Salzburg defenders, starting defenders, are priced at 4.0, which is a huge advantage for all managers who will be playing Champions League fantasy. And I think one of them are a necessity in the team to make funds for expensive assets in future. And Alvarez, who is, I think he also starts for Ajax. I think he's a holding midfielder, and but again, as like in Champions League fantasy, we get points for recovery points, like ball recoveries, like four. I think every 4 ball recoveries, we have 1 point. So I think that will be a great thing. Even if we get 5 to 6 points from a 4.5 player, I think that will be a pretty big advantage. So yeah, that's my selections, that's my reasons behind my selection, and I hope everybody has a good week.